This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Mandeville mob killing classified as a murder after autopsy. The death of Shifton Campbell, who was beaten by a mob in Mandeville, Manchester earlier this month, has now been classified as a murder. This follows a post-mortem examination conducted on Campbell's body on Saturday. As a result, a person of interest who was identified as being at the center of the mob beating and the subsequent death will be taken into custody, the police said. The results of the post-mortem indicated that Campbell, a member of the board of the Victoria Primary School in Manchester, died due to blunt force trauma to the head. The report said there was no visible sign of injury on the body. Police had reported that Campbell, while walking on Manchester Road, was accused of stealing money, attacked and beaten by several people. Police on foot patrol rescued and took Campbell to a hospital where he died. Police on foot patrol rescued and took Campbell to a hospital where he died. Residents of Victoria Town in South Manchester blocked sections of the main road in their community as they protested the death of Campbell, who they described as a community leader. The residents, who said Campbell was a well-respected community member, demanded justice and threatened to take their protest to Mandeville if their concerns were not addressed. No hiding place in school system for educators who prey on students. Educators who end up in compromising situations with students and are found guilty by the courts should be outed and not allowed to slink back into the school system, Director of the Safety and Security in Schools Unit, Richard Troop, is insisting. According to Troop, such individuals, when allegations are made, should also not be allowed to just resign and disappear, but investigations must take place. I think we have been very clear in our stance as a ministry that every matter must be reported to the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, and the law must take its course, Troop told the news in a recent interview. We are also suggesting that if persons are found culpable, that it is not kept under the radar, that after they have served their time, they can shift and go to another school. We are also tracking that because we were seeing, for example, a news report that said a teacher from St. Catherine who was involved in a compromising situation with a student, the same teacher ended up in a school in St. Andrew. Sometimes there is a tendency when these things come up to resign. That cannot be our position. The investigations must be done, Troop stated. He, in the meantime, has appealed to the parents and the guardians of students who are victims to not get cold feet and avoid the courts. We say to parents that as much as it is a painful situation, we do not want cases to be dropped. We do not want to believe that persons can be paid off to let a case go, but the case must be followed through to the end. It is a sensitive matter. Every child who is a victim in such a situation is provided with that support. We have been very discreet, Troop added. Earlier this month, a 24-year-old teacher was charged by the St. Anne Criminal Investigations Branch with one count of buggery, indecent assault, and a grievous sexual assault. Reports are that the teacher got involved in a relationship with a 15-year-old male student at a school in the parish and indulged in sex acts at a hotel, allegedly with another minor. Also this month, a Clarendon teacher was taken into police custody after a 14-year-old girl who had been reported missing was found at his home in the parish. The educator had reportedly been employed at a primary school before being employed at a high school. Under Jamaican law, a person under the age of 16 cannot legally engage in sexual intercourse or any related sexual activity. Heartache as murders spiral. It appeared to be just another Friday afternoon for 55-year-old Faye Descott as she prepared the jerk pork and the chicken meals for sale at the Kingston 10 premises that double as home and a business on Newley Avenue, Cassia Park. But May 27 was anything but routine. Colin Brooks, Descott's common-law spouse, is still traumatized by the recollection of his fleeing partner falling to the ground after being shot 4 times by gunmen. He recalled Descott being seated near him and a regular client when the tragedy unfolded. With his back turned to the entrance of the residence, Brooks heard the ear-splitting terror of bullets piercing his partner's body and her bellows for help as she ran to safety. All me could hear was when she said, "Jesus," and she run from there and she just dropped. The shot goes straight through her chest, he said. This thing happened so fast, me don't even know say a man there behind me. Cause me I wonder how she a run and I go over there. And by the time me hear she said Jesus, and behind me the man there shoot her, Brooks added. Scott's murder is part of a spiraling wave of bloodshed in Jamaica, which up to last week recorded a surge in murder of 6.5% year-on-year. That spike is not restricted to the corporate area, but has been at the center of concern in western Jamaica, where feuding gangs are trading currency in blood. Two men, Jason Trail, 28, and Andre Dennis, 26, were gunned down in their hometown of Duncan's, Trelawney in a Saturday evening gun attack in which two other men were injured. Andrea Melbourne, mother of Dennis, heard the shots but never thought that her son would have been among the victims. It was long after he was taken to the hospital before I was told. When I went there, I did not get to see him, the mother said. Everybody is crying, but I am trying to stay strong. But it is difficult, the mother of four disclosed. Tanisha Trail, sister of Jason, described him as hard-working and kind. He's always working with his compressors, doing jobs for different companies and people. He leaves out early in the morning to tend to his cows. I feel it deep down, she said. Superintendent Winston Milton of the Trelawney Police reported that 4 men drove up in a white Toyota Voxy motorcar and asked for 2 of the eventual victims. When they were identified, the assailants opened fire just outside a garage. At least 30 9mm cartridges were taken from the crime scene. The incident happened about 7:50 p.m. Milton said that early investigations suggest that the murders are as a result of a gang feud between 2 criminal cells originating in Duncan's. 19 people have been murdered in Trelawney since January. Jamaica is among the 3 murderous countries in the Americas, ranging annually between 40 and 60 killings per 100,000 population. That grim statistics is around 4 times the regional average. Crime is believed to cost more than 5% of the gross domestic product annually, but its corrosive consequence on society runs deeper than dollars and cents. The sense of loss is palpable but inestimable. Back in Cassia Park, it was only on Sunday afternoon that Brooks made his first attempt to eat a meal since Friday's attack, he said. Brooks characterized his late partner as jovial, loving, and well-liked. She was always smiling. She was a pleasant woman, he said. It's terrible, I'm telling you, terrible. Brooks recalled that the attackers who killed his partner wore ski masks. He said he is still unsure about the motive of the attack and why his life was spared. The Jamaica Constabulary Forces Communications Unit said it was unclear how many assailants were involved in the Descott murder, nor has a motive been established. Descott's second son, 24-year-old Daniel Brooks, described his mother as a woman who rarely went out but who focused on tending to her shop, which is located on the same premises as their home. When he heard the news of his mom's death, he frantically drove home from work with a passenger wanting him to relax and not speed. He is still in shock about the incident. Every time I walk past, me always look on the spot, he said, noting that he was greeted with a pool of blood where his mother had lain lifeless. Me try questioning, me no know where to start because knowing she no trouble nobody, he said. CCTV for 6 problem schools. Vicious fights, a proliferation of weapons, and illicit activities amongst students have led to a decision to equip 6 schools across the island with closed-circuit television surveillance systems, for starters, with talks of linking them to the National Camera Surveillance Program, Jamaica Eye. According to Director of the Safety and the Security in Schools Unit, Richard Troop, the decision to put extra eyes on the grounds of the Grange Hill High School in Westmoreland, Hopewell High in Hanover, Oracabessa High School in St. Mary, Papine High School in St. Andrew, Denham Town High School in Kingston, and Eltham High School in St. Catherine, was informed by the Education Ministry's ongoing audit of CCTV surveillance systems in schools, as well as its critical incident investigations. He said the frequency with which officials have been called to treat with particular matters, such as fights, a proliferation of weapons, breaches in the perimeter fencing, and smoking and gambling in some species, had triggered the approaches. In addition, Troop said the vulnerability of the species because of where they are located and the challenges in the physical environment, the setup of the schools, and the many blind spots that exist, and the need for consistent monitoring were additional push factors. The need is great. There are many vulnerable spots, so those 6 schools were shortlisted, Troop told the news, adding that the ministry is also planning to mete out the same treatment to other schools with similar flaws. The commitment of the ministry is to ensure that we are providing this level of support to a set number of schools each year. If we are able to find additional resources within our budget for other schools to benefit in this fiscal year, we will also consider that because technology really helps, he said. In the meantime, the Safety and the Security in Schools unit head told the news that efforts are underway to ensure that the stock of metal detectors in high schools are in good working order. Currently, all high schools have been given metal detectors. We are in the process near completion of an audit to determine if these detectors are working. We have some in inventory that we are releasing to schools that indicated that their detectors are defective. The principle is that each school must have at least 2 handheld detectors. For walk-through metal detectors, we are also doing an audit because some might need repairs. That audit is near completion, and it is to ensure that the company that we procured them from will be sent to the schools to do the repairs at our cost, he said. Figures for the cost of the audit were not immediately available. Meanwhile, Troop said the latest efforts complement the long-held partnership with the Community Safety and the Security Branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, which has been affected because of manpower shortages. There were about 176 school resource officers that would have been supporting our system. Recently, it was indicated that an additional 50 people were in training. Unfortunately, because of the issue with the boots on the ground not being enough, the traditional approach of having 2 officers working at a school for the entire day is not the option being pursued now. So what we have now is the officers are assigned to schools, but they provide satellite services. So the deans or principals have their contact and will call them if required, Troop explained. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.